Lots of ground to cover today in the video report and a free play coming up on Kentucky Notre Dame in just a moment. But first, guys, listen, I just want to quickly tell you, as you know, each and every Saturday for over 3.5 years, I've given you a money-saving discount coupon code that could potentially save you hundreds of dollars on your total purchase price. Today is going to be the single biggest discount available from now until the start of the football season at the end of August. It's my way of getting you ready for baseball, which I'm going to talk about in just a moment, because today you can save 29% off your total purchase price. That's right, 29% of your total purchase price. And remember, this is a mix and match coupon, which means you can use it for any combination of handicappers' picks and or packages. Where you really maximize your discount is with the packages, which already give you huge discounts over buying plays individually on an everyday basis from a handicapper. But let's say you also happen to be in the middle of a package with any handicapper at the site. And let's say you have 5 days left in that package, right? Well, if you bought a new 30-day package today, not only would you save 29% off the total purchase price of that package, but if you have any instant rebates that are available, they'll be applicable as well. Now, the only stipulation, as usual with this coupon, is that it's a single usage coupon. You cannot come in and buy somebody's big play for the early game on Arizona, Wisconsin, and then come back 3 hours later and buy somebody's big play on Kentucky, Notre Dame. You got to put everything in your shopping cart at one time to maximize your savings. Again, though, this will be the single biggest discount available, which I do every single Saturday from now until the start of football season at the very end of August. 29%. Use the coupon code simply 29%, 29 PERCENT, 29% to get that discount. And should you ever have any questions, you can always contact customer service. Listen, let me quickly talk about baseball before we back up to basketball. Baseball is the easiest sport to bet. It has always been the easiest one for me. I think that if you talk to the majority of the handicappers out there, those that have the intestinal fortitude to survive an entire baseball season, they will tell you the same. Listen, a lot of handicappers, a lot of sports services, my God, they hang up their shingle going fishing for the summer after the Super Bowl. Oh, maybe they'll come back for the tournament, but believe me, the minute the championship game is over with, they are done. They don't even care about the NBA playoffs. Another easy time to make money. Baseball, however, is the easiest sport to make money on. It's always been my best sport. I've won 13 of the last 16 seasons in baseball. I've won a hell of a lot more than that since I started betting baseball. It was the first sport I ever started betting, period. It's just so easy. The problem is, and I'll be the first to admit it, is you know that phrase, dog days of summer? It doesn't just apply to the players on the field. It applies to you as a gambler. It applies to me as a handicapper because the season just drags on forever. You have all those games every single day in June, July, and August when you're also trying to prep for football coming up around the corner. But here's the advantage to baseball. All those games every single day that drag on. It gives you so many opportunities to make money. So, in baseball, for me right now, I've been charting the pitchers here over the past couple of weeks because I always look at spring training starts, not the first 1, 2, or 3 starts by any pitcher. It doesn't matter those outings because they're just working on things. I start looking at their 4th and 5th starts and maybe sometimes even their 6th start of the spring training because that's when they're going 5, 6, maybe even 7 innings. That's when they're using their whole arsenal of pitches. That's when they're facing the majority of major league hitters, not guys that are going to be dropped down to AA ball like they were 2 weeks ago, okay? Not free agents that have no chance to make the team, non-roster players. So, as I also tell you, no matter the sport, no matter the season, the first 3 weeks of any season, you always have the advantage over the odds makers. It's the only time you have the advantage over the odds makers. So keep that in mind with baseball. Now, FYI, a couple of guys have written into customer service, asked who has done well in baseball here at the sites. Well, yours truly. Last year, and matter of fact, Brad Wilton. Brad Wilton joined the site 2 years ago. Right before the Super Bowl. Over the past 2 summers, $10 bettors have won $12,090 following his baseball action. So, can't beat that. Jeff Benton Last year, interesting baseball season for him. Regular season, he was outstanding. $10 bettors in the regular season last year won $8,360. The postseason was another story. They dropped $1,600 then. So you have to look at it two different ways, okay? He had a phenomenal 6.5-month run and an awful 4-week postseason run, and still those $10 bettors overall, the entire season, regular and postseason, won $6,755. But obviously the regular season was much better. And that's not real surprising because, listen, when the playoffs finally roll around, you are knee-deep in college football, knee-deep in the NFL, and it makes it difficult to really focus on baseball. You really just don't pay attention to it that much when the seasons overlaps. And to be honest with you, I don't think a lot of gamblers care about it either, baseball at that point. Now, what I just said does not mean guys like Gabriel Dupont or Scott Delaney or Chris Jordan didn't do well with certain baseball plays or overall. But with other guys, you have to look at their major wager releases. Look at Scott Delaney with those 100-dime plays in all sports over the past 4 years. Look at Delaney and Gabriel Dupont with those plays rated 50 dimes or higher. When guys are on rolls with best bets, you'll see that always listed as well with asserted highest rated play. And that's something to always keep in mind. But overall, I would say myself, Jeff Benton, Brad Wilton, Shawn Michaels had a very strong baseball season as well last year. Those would probably be the top day in, day out consistent performers. Chris Jordan did not have a great baseball season last year. Prior to that, previous 4 or 5 years, outstanding. Just wasn't his year last year. Okay, enough about baseball. Let's talk about a little basketball. You know, I've been doing this for so many years, and it never ceases to amaze me when I can come on a video and say, I never saw something like that happen before. I mean, I thought the end of the Super Bowl was crazy. And then I saw that last game last night between Duke and Utah. You saw it as well. I mean, were you there screaming at the TV like I was? First of all, that word that starts with F, I used a lot of them last night, and it wasn't frustration. Oh, no, it wasn't that F word. It was the other one, the 4-letter variety, especially when Duke turned the ball over there in the corner. Are you serious? Isn't that what they tell you when you're trapped? Call the timeout. You turn the ball over, and then I'm going, oh, my God, Utah's going to hit an easy shot here. It's going to screw me. Let me at least walk away with the push. You're thinking the same exact thing last night. Then you see the missed shot. You see Duke pull down the rebound, and I'm looking at the clock, and I'm going, foul him, foul him, foul him. And when I talk about that F word, it wasn't foul I'm talking about either, because I was using that other F word again. And then finally, the gift from God's, they go ahead and get the foul. And then I'm thinking, my God, are they going to actually go through with this? Because, of course, we're listening to the TV announcers. Hey, the game is over. They're clearing the court. Oh, I think there's a foul, but the game is over. Come on. Were you not screaming at the TV like I was for these announcers to get their heads out of the sand? Were you not wondering if they weren't aware of the fact that the line on this game was 5 and hundreds of thousands of dollars was going to be transacted based on the result of this free throw and whether or not the referees went ahead and made them actually shoot the damn shots? I mean, it's amazing. I'm so sick and tired of, like, let's talk about the football games when Al Michaels is on there doing his cutesy little references to the over-under, the point spread. Oh, like, geez, let's not be so obvious. Oh, but it's okay when we have the talking heads or the radio talk show guys talking about point spreads all the time when they're framing games. Or it's okay when we talk about after the fact, the 17-point, or here's one, Georgia State, the 14-point underdog or 9-point underdog upsets Baylor, you know, in the opening round. It's okay to talk about an underdog or a favorite in that regard. But you can't talk about it on TV last night when the whole world knows in terms of gambling what is at stake. I mean, that transcends gambling. That is a news story last night, what happens with that much on the line. And, of course, then we go and we see the guy miss the first free throw, and I'm sure you and I were both using a lot of F words. I'm telling you, I used my profanity quotient for at least the next 3 months in the final 5 minutes of real time in that game last night. So, finally hits the free throw. If you're like me, if you're like Shawn Michaels, who had a 100-dimer last night, if you're like Jeff Benton, who had a 100-dimer last night, you are happy as hell with the win on Duke. Here's the interesting thing. Do you know last night. And I've warned you guys about this before. If many of you out there, I'm sure, are playing offshore, there are two big offshore books, two big ones. And I'm not mentioning their name, and I'm not giving them any publicity because they don't pay me. And also, to be quite honest with you, and totally sarcasm aside, I don't endorse any sports books. I don't publicize any sports books. We've never had any sports book advertising. We just don't believe in any of that stuff. But there are two big ones out there where, generally speaking, no matter the sport, you're always laying more for favorites. And I've told you in the past, if you're going to play offshore, you've got to have at least two different sources. And if you're going to be on the dog, that's fine and dandy to play at those big guys, because generally you're going to get that extra half point. You're going to get that extra point because, you know, at one of them last night, Utah was 5.5 or 6. Some of those people walked away with a push with ease. Why you were playing there, unless you were on Utah, though, is beyond me. Now, interesting also in terms of this tournament that you saw, the underdogs, of course, got off to a great start. I told you everything is cyclical in this sport, in this business, in this gambling thing we do that we love. Didn't the favorites go 6-2 then in the round of 16? Now, in terms of, the round of 8, there's nothing really extravagant that I can tell you in terms of significant historical trends here. I can't tell you the favorites of 10 or more in this round, like Kentucky, for example, tonight, the game I'm going to preview in a second. Since 1998, they're 1-3 against the spread. But again, dogs owned the first day of the tournament in the play-in games. Favorites came back to break even the second day of the tournament. Then favorites have more than held their own, if not holding an edge just about every single day since then, going 6-2 the past couple of days. Interesting here that today, just the 9th time in tournament history that two foes meet again in the round of 8 in consecutive years. First time in over 40 years since that happened. And of course, I'm speaking of the game between Arizona and Wisconsin. You know what happened last year when these two met in Anaheim, with Wisconsin coming back and escaping with the 1-point overtime win. Well, now the scene has shifted about 30 miles away to the Staples Center in LA, where they had the rematch today. And the half-price play of the day is going to be Chris Jordan's biggest play of the college season. Top-rated 1,000-star winner number 8 out of 12 on Arizona, Wisconsin. You get it for half price simply by using the coupon code Chris, his first name. He had a 1,000-star winner the first day of the tournament with LSU against NC State. Had a 1,000-star college basketball winner last night in one of your minor league tournaments, with Kent State getting the cover in an overtime loss at Northern Arizona. Little heads up for you, Brian Rosica, who last night cashed in with another 75-dime winner with Louisville over NC State, and has 75-dime winner number 9 of 11 going today, is on the opposite side of Chris Jordan. There is Brad Wilton's tournament total of the year, part number 3, available today. You get it for $9. Notre Dame, Kentucky, saving 90. Last night, you got part number 2, Michigan State, Oklahoma, under. Part 1 was Notre Dame and Wichita State, over on Thursday. You also have Shawn Michaels. Yesterday, half price play of the day was his 100-dimer on Duke. Today, 50-dime line error lock, Notre Dame and Kentucky. You save $65 by using coupon code SEAN, S-E-A-N. Matches his Thursday line error lock winner, 50-dimer, Kentucky crushing West Virginia, that you got for $24. Matches his NIT line error lock on Wednesday, Temple over LA Tech, that you got for $22. Matches last Sunday's NIT line error lock winner, Temple over George Washington, a winner you got just for $19. That's from Shawn Michaels, all your coupons, etc., over on the homepage. Let's talk about this Kentucky game. Listen, I think the biggest thing that you have to be leery of if you're willing to lay the points on Kentucky in this contest is whether or not they will have any type of letdown after beating up the trash-talking West Virginia Mountaineers. I mean, they were focused for that game. They were motivated by West Virginia's trash talk in that game, and they just pummeled the Mountaineers. But really, this isn't like a game in the middle of January, okay, in the middle of November. Do you really think at this stage they're going to have a letdown? I just don't think so. And a lot of people say, hey, it's a big 11-point line. Well, okay, they hammered West Virginia. Didn't they just beat Cincinnati, a very good defensive team, by 13 points the day before? Okay, the Irish took care of business and took Wichita State out to the woodshed. I gave you the Irish as a free play here on the video report 2 days ago because I told you Wichita State's win against Kansas, really, I devalued that win because I didn't think Kansas was any good. And I thought the Shockers weren't that good either. I mean, after all, this is a team that got knocked out of its own tournament by Illinois State in the semifinals, okay? So big deal. Notre Dame got their game going and rolled. This is still the same Notre Dame that struggled to a 3-point win against Butler. Still the same Notre Dame team that opened the tournament with, a 4-point win against Northeastern. Still the same Notre Dame team that, yes, 2 weekends ago beat North Carolina and Duke in Tobacco Road back-to-back days in a 24-hour period. But remember, they were down by double digits in both of those contests. And now they're going to take on big, bad Kentucky. What I think that most people don't realize is that Kentucky has the athletes to get out there and run. Notre Dame's going to want to play up-tempo. Rarely does Kentucky get to play up-tempo because the SEC, it's not an up-tempo league. That's the reality. And yet, you got a Kentucky team that is so stingy defensively. #1 in the nation in field goal defense, holding foes to just 34.8%. 3-point defense, #2 in the nation, 26.7%. #2 in terms of points allowed at 53.5. So again, you have a very strong, rebounding, defensive-minded Kentucky team with a bunch of shot blockers. You key the defense, that opens up your opportunity for a transition, especially when you've got an opponent that doesn't have much size, doesn't have much depth, and I think Kentucky's going to be able to get into a foot race with Notre Dame. Listen, it's not like they haven't played teams that like to play up-tempo. I mean, they beat Arkansas and Lexington 84-67, 17-point win. They beat the Razorbacks in Fayetteville by 15 points, okay? Again, I like the fact that Kentucky certainly can play this style, but just doesn't often get an opportunity to do so. I don't think there's going to be any emotional letdown. I don't think this is going to be a blowout. But again, if you can beat Cincinnati by 13, I think you can take care of business against Notre Dame as well. So Kentucky's going to be your free play. Best of luck to you guys. All your other promos, discounts, etc. over on the homepage. And I'll talk to you again tomorrow when we do